Welcome, everybody. I am Todd Breyer. I am your host for tonight. And this is our first one of many of this particular presentation, for lack of a better word for it. I'm coming to you from my home on the Neuse River in New Bern, North Carolina. The purpose here is to give you really a feel for what Life Plus is all about. So I have muted everybody's line because we want to try to make sure that the speakers can be heard. There is a chat box open on the bottom. And so if you have a question as we go through, please type it in the chat box and we will address it, whether we do it inside of this or at the end of this. We want to try to be respectful of everybody's time. And so this is obviously pretty informal because we're pretty informal. We're about helping people and serving people. And what we have is really a cool thing. It's very awesome, but we're not going to be formal about it. We have lots of specific presentation tools. You can learn all the nitty gritty anywhere else that you need, but this is going to give you a feel, right? If you're new to Life Plus, this is a place where you can flourish. You can flourish physically, you can flourish relationally, you can flourish developmentally, financially, in your career. There's so many great fruits that come from this if it's for you. And if it's not, that's cool too, right? We're not about pressure or hype or trying to get you to do something you don't want to do. We're about serving people to become their best selves and make the difference in their lives that they're trying to make. So just a little bit about Life Plus very quickly. If you're brand new to this, the company's roots go back to 1936. The company is based in Batesville, Arkansas. The current ownership took it over in the late 70s. And prior to 1992, you could only get their products if you were a clinical practitioner, because that's the level of products that they make. And then in 1992, they pioneered the referral marketing concept, which is a concept that is very, very unique still today. I mean, referral marketing is becoming more of a thing when you see things like DirecTV and Verizon and different companies trying to use it. There's also companies that use traditional networking models that use the term referral marketing, but this is a pure referral marketing company, and you'll get a better feel for what that means. But the company is debt-free. They do roughly 180 million to 200 million around the world, but most of that is outside of the States, so it's an ideal opportunity for you in the United States. And it's really a business without risks. It's centered on helping others. It's fun. It's simple. It won't do itself, so it's not perfect in that way. But wow, what a cool thing. It's one of those rare things that the deeper you look, the better this gets. And so that's why we're so open and informal about it, because we want you to just feel welcome so that you can explore. And then if you like what you see, we're here for you. I've been with this company this is my 24th year. 24th year. It's created an incredible situation for my life. I'll share a little bit more about that later. But tonight you're going to hear from Christina Hall and Dr. Ann Brown, and then I might share a little bit. And you're also going to get, you're going to hear their experiences and to give you a better understanding of what might be here for you. That's the value of hearing someone else's experience, is that gives you a vibe for what might be here for you, because everybody looks for an opportunity or looks for products for their own reason. And so we want to help you figure that out. And then we're going to do what we call our FAQ. And so tonight's FAQ will be what makes Life Plus different from other home business companies, because everybody says they're different, right? Everybody says they're the best. Everybody says they're different. So we're actually going to share that. But this is also something that will happen weekly. Just so you know, we're going to do this call weekly. It will not be on the exact same night every week. And sometime it might be a Saturday, but it's here as part of a way that we can support you and serve you in your work. And I'll touch on that as we close tonight. But without further ado, we're going to start with Dr. Ann Brown, and just a little intro for Ann. Ann is in Augusta, Arkansas. She is a doctor of literature and English. She is a professor at Harding University. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the director of the McNair Scholars Program there. Is that still true?
No, that's not. Associate professor in literatures and English, and I am the Gilman Scholar Advisor at Harding University.
Oh, well, I took a shot. I took a shot, man. Took a shot.
Exactly.
And let it go, my friend.
Okay, guys, I posted a really long narrative of my experience. You know, I had several women who responded to that narrative of my experience to be balanced in my female body. And several of you or several people responded to me in a private message, right? And they said, I've had this experience, you know, what you said was almost exactly what happened to me. And it just shows that there's still an element of talking about female issues that, you know, it's like, oh no, we can't do that in public. But just very quickly, I struggled with female issues my whole life from the time that I was in my teens, and my doctor told my mother that I needed to have a baby in order to cure me of my PMS. Excuse me, to being in college and having a roommate thinking that I was dead because she could not wake me because I had a migraine associated with my period. My hormones were so out of flux that I was unconscious and she couldn't wake me. And I woke up with my dorm mother and all of the residence assistants around the bed. And I was like, get out of here, I'm having my period. But it just goes on. I mean, if you want to read the whole story, I put it out there because, to tell you quite frankly, it was important for me to go ahead and own all of this myself so that I could really feel comfortable sharing what happened. But the bottom line is that after years of doctors saying they couldn't work with my hormones, and enduring ridiculous periods my whole life, finally, when I was 50 years old, I kept going back to my doctor there in Abu Dhabi saying something is wrong, something is wrong. It turned out that I had a massive dermoid cyst that had been missed all the years with all of my yearly checkups, going in, being faithful about all of that stuff. They missed this massive cyst that was so big the doctors in Abu Dhabi would not allow me to fly, because they didn't know what was inside this thing, and they didn't know what kind of damage it could do if it ruptured into my abdominal cavity. So they got it out. I named it Bertha. I was like, I named it Bertha, and I did mind movies in order to, you know, get my mind right for the surgery and all that. But we were very happy because the tumor had only consumed one of my ovaries, and the doctors were very happy too, but they did tell me that that was the largest dermoid cyst that they had ever seen in anybody from the Western world, which is just, it's ridiculous because the doctors I was going to at DC were Georgetown trained, were Harvard trained. You know, it was the best medical care I could afford for myself. Okay, so that was right at 50. And I went ahead with my life, yay, rejoice, rejoice. And then I hit about 56, 57, and menopause kicked in, and oh my goodness. I mean, my eyebrows were thinning, my nails were breaking down in the quick, my skin was dry. I couldn't put two sentences and words together. I mean, that's slight exaggeration, but I was so frustrated because my mind didn't work the same way that it had before. And it was just ridiculous. I mean, the secret stopped working. One of the ladies who private messaged me said, oh, I thought it was just that Secret had changed its formula. No. Okay, so I felt crazy, just to tell you, and I felt I couldn't sleep. I put on 60 pounds in a very short period of time. It was just crazy. I didn't recognize myself. And so finally in November 2018, I decided to take my health into my own hands. And I went and had my heart checked out first to see if, you know, that was all right. And then I had I did a panel of hormone tests. The results were that my estrogen was down to 0.5%, which was well below normal for a person, even a postmenopausal person my age. Progesterone was at 0.5. DHEA was at 0.5. The only hormone that was in the normal range was testosterone. So you can imagine that I was a rage monster. Little things would just, and I was like, oh my goodness. And I did know. The other thing that the test looked for was cortisol. And what I learned about my cortisol was that it started out high in the morning and then it went up over the course of the day. Now, normally your cortisol should start out high in the morning and go down over the course of the day. So it was no wonder that I put on this massive amount of weight. And the reality is too, I've battled my weight my whole adult life. But I with the cortisol levels that out of whack, what are you gonna do? And so I went ahead and I looked at Life Plus line of products, and I decided that I needed to figure out which of those products could help me, right, to get my life back and get back into balance. I've been taking proanthanols for a number of years for my allergies. And so I did that foundational BioBasics, Omegold, and proanthanols, because those are the foundation, the cleanse and protect, getting all of the omegas in proper ratio, and then the proanthanols is an antioxidant. So life was beautiful there, but then I needed to have those target products, right? So I did evening primrose oil, I did DHEA, and I did also, I wrote it down here so I make sure, and the feminine formula. In addition to that, though, I take the Biotic Blast or the probiotic first thing every morning before I do anything else, because part of all of this crazy and all of these years of doctors prescribing antibiotics and all of this mess, I knew that I had to deal with my gut, because I knew that my gut flora was all out of balance. Now, what were the results? I did that test in I actually collected it late December, early January, so just right around the beginning of the year, excuse me, and I sent it in and got the results that I just shared with you. I started to feel better in a week and a half to 2 weeks, right? But my scientific brain had kicked in, and because I was director of McNair Scholars and I did monitor, their primary research, I was like, okay, go about this in a scientific way. And so I took the protocol every day for 4 months. And in April, I did another hormone test. The results were that my estrogen was within normal range for a postmenopausal woman my age. Progesterone was in normal range for a postmenopausal woman my age. DHEA was a little high. So, excuse me, so I cut back a pill. And then finally, the testosterone had stayed level where it was. That was fantastic. But the key thing was the cortisol began to behave properly too. It started out high, it went down over the course of the day. And within that time, I lost roughly 50, not 55, Lord, I wish, haha, I've lost 25 pounds, right? I know, I'm just like 50 pounds, oh my God. But with all of that being said, that set the stage for where I am right now, because where I am right now is really using Life Plus Body Smart Solutions in order to get my hormones right, to get the sugar out, because the sugar affects all of the hormones. It affects inflammation. Insulin is a hormone. Oh, that's the other thing. My A1C level, where I was pre-diabetic, I was still pre-diabetic, but I was at the up end of pre-diabetic. And so that was another change that when I went to get all of these health tests done that I saw, and that was really the reason that I was like, look, woman, you have to do something different for yourself. I'm the 12th of 15 kids. Most of my family have diabetes, heart disease, stroke. My mother died from complications to that. My sister died from complications. And it was like a wake-up call. It's like, chick, is this how you're gonna go out? I don't think so.
And you're awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with people. And she could have gone on for I think an hour at least. But
I stopped. Yay, me!
There is a video about her story on YouTube, just so you guys know. All right, so let's jump to Christina Hall. Christina is, I don't know the town, but she's south of Seattle, Washington. And she is an MBA been a marketing manager for agencies, international corporations for the last 10 years. She also has a podcast, Purposeful in Life, which is pretty cool. And in 2016, she got her wellness coaching certificate. So I think that gives people a little frame of some stuff. But Christina, take it away, my friend.
Awesome. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So yes, hi all. I'm actually from Germany. I want to put that out there because I have a slight accent probably. But yeah, I'm in Seattle, Washington. I've been in the States for over 9 years now. I met my husband while I was stationed in Germany. He's in the Army. And we have been here for like 2 years now almost, with our daughter Katie, she's 4, and our doggy Dexter. But my Life Plus journey goes back 18 years now, and it's crazy to think that. But my dad back in Germany was introduced to the company when he was really sick, and it was really hard to see him go through what he went through. But he had severe liver issues, and the doctors pretty much told him that he was an alcoholic, even though he did not drink. And it was all like, afterwards, we found out that it was from medication that he got because he had herniated discs and back problems and arthritis in both shoulders, and nobody really could help him. And then when a friend of his from high school that he hadn't met in like 20 years came along and told him about the products, he was just open for anything at that point. He was like, help me. And within a couple months, he felt so much better. So of course the whole family went on the product. But as a teenager, you take them or you don't take them. You don't really pay attention that much. Which actually I want to talk a little about my story. Is that my mom, and growing up in Germany, we were more on the natural side of things, how we were raised. Going to naturopath instead of a traditional doctor. But I was diagnosed with an autoimmune issue called Hashimoto's when I was like in my early teens. And I was also at the same time frame, I was diagnosed with scoliosis, which is like pretty much extra bends in your spine that shouldn't be there, which caused me to have like 3 herniated discs before I was 20. And I was in like, my discs pretty much were gone. And doctors were telling me, you need to have surgery before you're 30 because your back is not going to be able to, keep up. And I was in ridiculous pain throughout my whole youth, pretty much. And then with the autoimmune issue, I was suffering from, oh my gosh, like I need more than 5 minutes to talk about this, but I had everything, like my immune system was down. I was constantly sick. There was a bug going on. I screamed here and I got it. I had IBS, leaky gut, all that not so fun stuff. I was developing allergies, asthma. I had migraines like clockwork, like all of that. And then mood swings, like beyond the hormonal normal teen stuff that was going on. So I definitely hear you, and with hormones, it's no fun. So I didn't, but I always ask my doctors, and I ask my doctors for help me, and ask them, is there anything I can do? Is there anything that I can do, that you can do, that I can do different, or that we can try? And I always get the answer, no, there's nothing. You have to deal with it. You can manage it, manage the pain, but that's it. That's going to be your life for the rest of your life. And in my mid-20s, I was like on 5 medications. I was on all the painkillers that you can think of, like ibuprofen 800. I had them like candy, pretty much. I got the shots and for my back because my pain was so crazy. And there were numerous times when I had to go to the ER because I couldn't move. I just couldn't talk. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. So that was kind of my wake-up call to really change something. Because when I heard that 10,000s no, we can't do anything, I started to look into things myself, and I started to talk to people back home from Germany, to my parents, of course, and then my dad was like, you know what, you don't want to do the concept, because he always wanted to get me into the concept with him, because he did that. He really understood it from the get-go. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'll take the products, but that's about it. And I started pretty basic, like 2 products minimum, and again, not even regular. But within a couple months, and it was pretty significant, I remember it, like we went to a parade and we stood there in the cold for 3 hours. And walking back to the car, I noticed my back is fine. Like, what the heck is going on? And that's when I realized and looked back into it and really researched the products and get myself educated on all the topics. And really what made me jump into it totally, or made me believe, was when we tried to become pregnant, and we had a hard time getting pregnant. And within doing a detox, within a month, I was pregnant afterwards. And I'm like, whoa, all right, now there's no doubt anymore. Like, everybody needs to hear about this, right? And that's when I started looking into the concept, what else the company had to offer, because I heard so much stuff about it from my dad, about the people that I started following in Germany. I read all the books, and I was just sold. Like, that is what I'm about, and I want everyone to know about it so they can have a chance to make their own opinion and see, like you said in the beginning, if it's for them. But they need to know that it's there.
Well, that's an awesome story, Chris. Thank you so much for sharing that. You know, Ann and Chris are great examples of what drives this opportunity is our products. That's what makes this a real thing. And you know it has to be the case when you see our business model. For me, and I'm going to be very brief with my story, which is plastered everywhere, so it's not hard to find my story. But you know, when I looked at this, it wasn't the products that I first attracted me to the opportunity. It was actually the integrity of the opportunity. But I learned about it because a friend of mine had gotten such great results with the products. But at the time, and this is back in 1996, we're talking, it's 23 and a half years. And at the time, you know, I had spent 7 years trying to make it in a home business, and I'd had some success and I had some failure. But at the time that I learned about this, I was broke, literally broke. I wasn't poor, because that's a state of mind, but I was broke. And, you know, you also have to know I'm an introvert. I struggled with anxiety and low self-esteem for many years. I had no sales history because I'm not a sales guy. And you know, I was enamored with the concept of a home business because I'd been laid off in a corporate career a couple of times, and I just didn't want that. I mean, for most people, this is an awesome part-time thing. For me, I wanted more. And what attracted me was the simplicity and the fairness and the integrity of the opportunity. I had never seen anything where I could get involved without a sign-up fee, and I didn't have to inventory the products, and my qualifier was simply a personal use product of products that I would have to be crazy not to use. That was my perspective, because I care about taking care of myself. And so there was no risk, and that's what, to me, that's what it intrigued me, because I didn't need to know anything about the products to know they were good. The only way this company could survive was if the products were great, because they weren't requiring anyone to do anything else with the products except use them. There was no buy-in. There was no, you got to spend $800 to get started. You got to buy a big starter. There was none of that. And so I saw this and went, oh my gosh, this is so fair. It's so honest. There's no way to lose. The only way to lose is not do it, right? Or to do something crazy, which, I mean, yeah, I might be a little crazy, but I'm not that crazy. And so, you know, I applied myself in a very high energy way. And over a few years, I've built a large business that has, and I'm not trying to coerce you, I'm just telling you, I've earned millions of dollars in a very unique way over the years, in a way where I've been able to be with my family and invest in the things that matter. And you know, if you see my resume now, you're like, wow, no wonder he could build a business. What's important to understand is that resume had nothing on it prior to this, that everything that's happened in my life has been as a result of the fruit of this and the development that has come from this. And, you know, this is one of the fairest, most honest, best things I know of, which is why I'm here. And And so, you know, not everybody wants to create that kind of life, and that's okay. What we're about is helping you accomplish what matters to you. Our very model is structured that way. You know, and you just need to know that whatever you want to accomplish, the larger it is, the longer it's going to take. There's nothing overnight that's of value in life. Nothing. And the more valuable something is, the more you're going to have to struggle. I've struggled a lot in my career, and anyone who's had a great relationship or has accomplished anything of significance has had struggle. And so the truth is, it's not going to be a bed of roses, but you're not going to have any risk. And life isn't a bed of roses anyway. So you're going to struggle either way in life. You're going to struggle if you go after your goals, and you're going to struggle if you don't. I tell you, struggling by not going after your goals, you don't want to go down that road. You don't want to just ask anybody who's, well, heck, I don't want to use over 60 because that's like a year and a half, 2 years.
Right.
From now. So anybody over 80, how about that? Ask somebody over 80 what they regret, and they'll tell you they regret not going for whatever they cared about. They regret not spending time with the people that mattered most. That's what they regret. And this is an opportunity that allows you to really to carve out the life that you want, if that's what you want. And so I can go on all day, but there's no need for me to do that. In the last little bit of time, I'd like to have Ann, why don't you share a little bit, and then I'll have Chris share a little bit about, in your opinion, what makes this so different from other home-based companies?
You know, I had tried other home-based companies. In the 80s, the whole concept of being able to not have to depend on a job was very, excuse me, it was very attractive to me. But I wound up having to have so many products in my house and write so many checks and make sure that, you know, people got those things. And then I was driven to go to meetings and I enjoyed the rah-rah sessions. I'm an extrovert, so I get energy from the rah-rah. And I was like, whoa! But the thing is, when you're constantly paying for those and going, you know, and going, it's just like, wait a minute. And you're writing out these tiny checks for people and chasing people down with your little bags and stuff like, look, you ordered this stuff, make sure you come and get it because I've got a stack of product in my closet. You know, that is just insane. And so when I came to Life Plus, and it, you know, this idea that I didn't have to stock anybody else's products, the only products coming to my house were going to be mine, that everybody would buy at the same rate. You know, there was no scale hidden back over here where, okay, you pay this much and you pay this much and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. It was just everybody gets an account, everybody orders directly from the company, and I don't have any extra buildup in my closet. So for me, that was just extremely attractive, and it worked in a way that other opportunities hadn't.
Awesome. Thanks, Ann. Chris, what do you got?
Man, I could talk about this forever probably, because I have a long list of things. What you have to know is when I got back into my health, in my job, I went from, you know, marketing entry level to having my own marketing department, and I worked 60 plus hours. And that question in my head came on, like, what else is there? What is that it? Is that gonna be it for the rest of the life, you know? And I started looking into other things. I did anything. I turned over all the stones, from direct sales, affiliate marketing, to Bitcoin, to having my own blog, doing freelance work on the side. I've literally done it all. And I always had to invest. There was always something, a barrier to get in, right? And then once you're into, you had to invest a lot of time and a lot of more money to get to the next level. And I was like, I don't have that. That's why I'm doing this, you know? And there is nothing like this. Like Ann said, like you said, you order your own products that you order anyways, that you use anyways. Like, I'm raising my daughter on these products, and I've not seen any other opportunity where I can do that. From top to bottom, like everything I'm using. My dog is getting all of this. Like, if I'm hearing other moms talk about how many problems they have with their kids, or how many other dog parents have to go to the vet, like, I don't have that. I don't have all those expenses. I get the time with my daughter. There's literally no risk. There's no contract. There's
Right.
nothing. And then I get these awesome people like mentors that if I had not joined and really dove into, I would not be where I am today. I would not be speaking in front of anybody. Like, no, I wouldn't have a podcast. I wouldn't have any of this. Like, I'm just exploding with gratitude and being able to have a business, not only, having an MBA, and I always wanted to be a businesswoman and build a business that pays forward. And now I can do that, nationwide. And I don't have to worry about laws or, paperwork or any of that. I can do it all. And on my time and with the people I like. So, yeah.
Awesome. Great stuff. The only thing I will add that to me that really embodies a very unique point about this company is, there's a lot of talk in the home business world about you build your business by helping others be successful and helping others get a result. And that's what I fell in love with about the home business industry when I first saw it back in 1989 was conceptually, that's what it is, right? It's not about what you can get, it's what you can give. But I've never seen it modeled from the company down. And when you look at the company's business model, they actually, they set the tone for that because literally they keep all of the risk. Nobody else does that, right? They keep all of the risk because they only make money if someone buys a product and gets a benefit. They don't make money on sign-up fees. They don't make money on website fees. Our websites are free. They don't make money on extra shipping costs. They don't make money on handling. They don't make money on renewal fees. They don't make money on all these other things, starter kits that most home business companies make money. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. That's smart, right? I mean, that's business. But this company doesn't do it. And they don't do it because they believe so strongly, A, in what they make, and B, it's their model. Manufacturers don't make products and hold on to them. They make products and sell them as fast as they can. This company keeps all the risk and then literally provides as much support as possible to help their customers grow an income if they choose. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen any other company willing to do that. And to me, that is the biggest piece, is that the ethics start from the company down. It's not something that's talked about. It's in the business model. This truly is helping others as the means to help yourself. And
Todd, one of the things too, I live here in Arkansas, and so just back in July, I was able to run up to Batesville to the company, and they walked me through the plant, looking at how these products are manufactured, looking at the standards for excellence that they require, showing me the process. I mean, I just, I had to put on my little suit and all of this kind of stuff, but who else does that? I mean, like, who else would be that transparent? In order to be that transparent, you have to be very sure about what you're doing and about the quality of what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Chris?
One thing I want to add that's really important to me is, I've been through a lot of companies, international corporations in Germany, here in the States, and all of the companies always have values, right? That they live by or, want to live by. But this company is really about the three important values that I found is integrity, trust, and honesty. And they live it, like you said, from the CEO down. And there's actually a recording from our last Spirit online, and I would encourage anyone who is interested or want to know more to watch that. Because like you said, I want you to feel into it, and it has to feel right. Because it's difficult to describe this feeling and that everything that comes with it. But what he says is really really explains it.
Awesome. And Chris, thank you so much for your contribution tonight. There is some stuff in the chat box which we will address here in a second. But for those of you who or here and need to go, just want to say thank you for taking your time to be here tonight. You know, if there's more you need to learn, get with the person. Oh, look at that, the next generation. If you, you know, if you need to learn more about certain things, talk to whoever invited you, because we are transparent. There's so much information that you can access. If you want to get started, that's pretty easy. Order some products, you get them direct from the manufacturer, you get your own free account. If you don't like them, you can send them back. I mean, you know, I don't know how else to make it easier than that. The business is simple, the training is simple, and you know, you can immediately set up your websites and dive into our free training. We have an entire suite of videos and training accessible for you. And then we will do this again next week. There'll be different people speaking. So you won't be blessed with Ann and Christina next week, and probably not me either, but you will have some awesome people. I can promise you that, because that's all we attract is awesome people. And so that way you can utilize this to invite people to learn after you've had a conversation. They can get a vibe. They can feel what we're all about. So if you need to go, thank you for being here. And those of you who have questions, and I'm going to pull up the chat now and see what we have in here.